What do contractors know about the difference between big box home improvement stores and your local lumberyard? And how does that relate to you and how you might sell a rundown house as it is? At one place, you get a huge selection of typical products in a place that takes you like 5 to 10 minutes just to walk across. And often you spend more time walking than you do actually shopping, and everything's served up by people with varying degrees of knowledge. But at least you got to go for a walk and got a little exercise in while you were there. And sometimes that's okay. But at the other place, you find a smaller store loaded with less stuff, but somehow almost always has what you need, served by someone who knows the product and how to use it. More importantly, they just knew where to find it in the store. Add to those differences, I don't know if you knew this or not, but most manufacturers actually make a certain line of products just for those big box stores. That's why when you buy there, you can get cheaper prices, but products found at like industry-specific stores are far superior product lines. That's why your plumber doesn't typically shop at the big box store. He or she shops at a local specific plumbing store that has specific products only for plumbers. Same thing with your electrician or any other industries. That's a lot like the differences, though, with working with a real estate agent or with a real estate investor. Let me share with you how I came to this thought. There was a post here recently on a local Facebook community page, one of those public ones where everybody in the community's on, and it said this: there's a guy who wants to pay cash for a rundown house I have, and I was wondering if anyone out there has dealt with him. His name is, fill in the blank. So here's a person, they're asking for help. They say, I don't know who this guy is. Anybody know him? And maybe they're saying, I don't know how this works, but they don't really say that part. The only real question they ask is for some reference of this person. So, like I said, this was on a local public Facebook page. I see these pretty often. Or something similar to them. They often get the same type of responses. There are often quite a few comments that come in. Most are people who obviously don't really know what they're talking about. A few are from professionals in the area, like real estate agents or investors. But even in those, of course, you always get a mix of higher and lower quality information. Often, most of the comments don't even address the question that the person asked, because the original question kind of gets lost in all the comments. So everyone just sees an opportunity, or often sees an opportunity for their next deal, and starts giving advice that was never asked for in the first place. I'd like to take a few minutes here to talk about several things that I drew out of this particular one. I'm probably drawing more than a lot of people do out of it, but I thought it was at least a good place to start a conversation here. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the comments that I often see on this type of post, and then I'll talk about the difference between an investor and an agent, the relationship between the two, the importance of positivity when you're working through a legal transaction, and the actual subject of the post. So the first one, let's talk about the comments on this particular post. There was one real estate agent that commented, and they say, typically an offer to buy a house off market is usually only benefiting the buyer. And there was a response actually from another local agent that says that's not always the case. It's not a good deal unless everyone involved gets a good deal. And then that original agent says, well, we can agree to disagree on this, but I still value your opinion. Well, that was nice of them to still value the opinion, but I don't understand the disagreeing part. That's weird, because all the person said was that it's not a good deal unless everyone gets a good deal. And so I don't understand where the disagreement is on that. And then another agent comes in and says, I don't know this person, but as an agent, I would suggest you have a market analysis done so that you get a fair price. Market analysis are free. There are investors out there looking for homes at a cheap price so they can fix and flip them. Not sure if this is the case, but don't sell it for less than it's worth. Okay, I have a couple of thoughts. Both of these comments were negative towards investors, but they do at least offer some value. A market analysis is a good recommendation. I can't deny that, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that's looking to sell property. Look, if you're looking to sell your house and you're not sure what its value is, you should do something about that to get comfortable with it. But getting a single analysis from one place or perspective is just that. It's just one perspective. And remember that when working with anybody, real estate investor or real estate agent, if they're the one bringing you what the value of your property is, that's just one perspective. And I would recommend that maybe you think about getting some more, or you figure out how to get comfortable with that yourself. There's several ways online you can do that as well. At the end of any real estate deal, you're going to find the value of the property because it's worth what it sells for. And that's why any decent analysis will include several recently sold homes for comparison. That's how they build the analysis, is by looking at homes that were recently sold and build off of that and compare them to your property and try to get it so that they even out with each other. You should understand when you're looking at any analysis from anybody, and especially when you're working with an agent, that it benefits the agent to tell you that your house is worth a higher number. And it's just the same with an investor. On the other hand, it benefits them, or it's in their interest for them to use a lower number. It's how the numbers work. We'll get into that a little bit more as we go through this. But this is because of the way each make money on a deal. Agents only have one way to make money. They make it off of commissions off the sale of the house. So for them to make money, they need you to sign on with them. The higher the number they say that they can sell your house for, well, that's going to influence you a little bit, right? You're more likely to sign on with them and work with them if they tell you they can sell it for a higher number. On the other hand, investors have many ways to make money. That usually entails buying at a discount and then adding value to the property in some way. That means that they're going to probably buy property that's in some kind of disrepair, or maybe the owners that are looking to sell needs to sell it really fast or easy. They've got some other hurdles they need to deal with. So generally speaking, agents want to sell a house that's in really good condition. It's sale ready, because that's the easiest way for them to benefit. It sells easily, quickly on the open market, and it sells for a higher number. Investors, on the other hand, they want to buy a house that wouldn't sell easily on the open market, might take a long time, might have a lot of issues to get through that, not have as many buyers that can even buy that type of house because it's in some kind of disrepair. They want to buy that house as it is so that they can be the ones to add the value to the property. That's the easiest way for an investor to benefit from the property. So just understand that these are two different approaches, and I think it's important that you have that understanding. And it's also, I want to take a moment here to note this and be sure that I'm clear. Both have value. Okay? They both bring value to the industry. They're just different. And it's important when you're dealing with an investor or an agent to understand what those differences are, what their approach is, so that you understand the different product that you're being offered and how it might work for your situation. So let's get back to the original Facebook post. We'll move into the investor comments that I saw. Most of them really look just like this one. I pulled one out, and it says something like this: I might be interested in the house. I'm going to send you a message. And that's pretty typical, right? The investor is saying, hey, I'm curious about the property. I'll send you a message, right? And they're hoping to engage and see where things go. And then you saw a whole bunch of other ones, or you saw a few other ones that were educational comments, myself included. We look to offer value and support, and just kind of left it at that. Let the person make their decisions. I shared an article that was on my website about selling a house directly off market. And to be clear, right, I shared something that's on my website. So that does bring their attention to my website. And my website is designed with the purpose to say, hey, I'm interested in buying your house, right? So I am doing a little bit of marketing when I reach out that way, and I put it out there. But I put a lot of value out there on my website. I have a blog with lots and lots of posts, all sorts of different information about selling properties and giving information in that way. So it's a resource that I built, and I'm offering that and I'm handing that out. So if a person in the long run ends up deciding that they want to work with me, that's great. Give me a call, we can talk, and I'll talk more about that as we go through this. But so I acknowledge that the person that they're asking about, I didn't know them. And I also offered an answer to any questions that might come up as they walk through the potential deal that they're asking about. So I just said, hey, here's an article I have with some information, and I don't know this guy, but if you got questions as you go through the deal, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to ask or answer any of those questions and help you kind of understand what you're dealing with. Then there was this other guy that answered too. He just went all out, tons of information. I mean, big long comment with all sorts of info there. So that was super cool of him. To be fair, many of the comments in the entire post, there were lots of them, didn't even answer the one question that the person originally asked about. And this is kind of what I was getting to earlier. If anyone knows the guy making the offer. And that's probably, like I said, because you just kind of get lost in all the comments. Everybody's giving advice on how to do a deal, and they never even answer the question of, do they know the person? The one question that the lady was asking about. So I personally think that the best option for you and anybody is to find a place that's going to offer all of the products and has knowledgeable staff to help you understand the different product options, right? And let's dig into that a little bit more. If you're talking to an agent, I'd recommend asking them questions, right? Challenge them a little bit, push back a little bit and see how they respond. Do they have an investor that you'd recommend working with, right? Ask them that question. Find out what they think about possibly working with an investor. Look, if they don't have relationships with other professionals in other areas of their industry and or it's all negative talk, I really think you should be a little bit concerned about that. I would be, right? And if you're talking with an investor, do the same thing to them. Push back on them a little bit. Do they have an agent that they'd recommend that you work with? What do they think about you contacting an agent and getting some input from them? Then the same thought here. If they don't have any relationships with other professionals in their industry that they can recommend, then I think you'd be right to be a little bit concerned there too. So at the end of the day, as far as agents and investors go, I think they need to be working together. Both have different options. They both have different products to offer. And you're going to be best served. You're the client at the end of the day, right? So you're going to be best served by someone who is the right option for your unique situation. And I want to be clear, every single real estate deal is unique. They all come with unique situations. There's unique people involved. There's a unique property involved. There's unique needs involved. Every one of them is unique and comes with a variety of things that are going to come along. So you're going to be best served by knowing all of the options. And if you're working with one or the other, whether an investor or an agent or somebody else, and they think that they're the only option, I don't think you should be satisfied with that kind of limitation. I wouldn't be, and I recommend that you not be either. So, okay, I've dealt with types of comments that came in, the difference between investors and agents, and the relationship that I think the two should have. Now let's deal with number 4, the importance of positivity when working through a legal transaction. And then we'll wrap it up and have some final thoughts on the actual subject of the post. So, the importance of positivity when you're working through a legal transaction. I can't stress this one enough. I think this is probably the most important thing I'm going to talk about here in this particular video. Because have you ever worked together with someone who's negative-minded? It can be such a drag, right? I mean, the person is always going to find something wrong. And when some hiccup comes, and they often do when you're dealing with real estate, and you've got a major transaction going on, and there's a lot of pieces that need to come into play. So there's little hiccups that come along the way, and you want to be able to put those pieces together, right? And if you're working with somebody who just finds what's wrong and what's negative about everything, it just becomes that much more difficult to get through the transaction. So no matter who you choose to work with, when you're selling your house, I highly encourage you to find what kind of person that they are, what kind of person you're dealing with. Push them a little bit. Pay attention to how they respond. Ask those hard questions about their possible competition. How do they respond? Is it negative or is it positive? Now, sometimes being negative about something is okay, and I think it's necessary. I mean, I'm not going to recommend that you work with somebody that I think is a scumbag, right? If I know they've done something lame or have harmed somebody else in a transaction in the past, I'm not going to say, hey, yeah, go ahead and work with that person, right? I'm not going to do that to you, but I am going to be careful about the way I use my words, right? And I'm going to try not to be overly negative. So I'm just encouraging you, watch for the motives. Get a feel for the person that we're talking about here. The last thing you want to be doing is working through a real estate deal and halfway through it find out that the person you're working with is a negative person. It just sours the entire experience. So let's wrap it up. Number 5, the actual subject of the post. Do I know the person that made the offer? Nope, I don't know that person. But I know a few things about how to work with someone through this kind of deal. And that's why in my answer, I offered 2 things. The legitimacy of selling directly. That was the article that I shared. And then I offered my help when dealing with the person. I offered some consultation. If you're looking to sell your house, reach out. I'd be happy to offer you the same thing. I'd be happy to talk with you, to meet with you, to work through it and see if things work well for us. See if I can help you in any way. Yes, I'm an investor. Yes, I'm looking for my next deal. But I've learned that I am best when I focus my attention on offering support and value to everyone else. Sometimes that turns into a deal I can buy, but most of the time, quite frankly, it doesn't, because I have a pretty specific box in where I'm going to buy at. I am perfectly content to just be of service, and I trust that I'll make enough deals to make sense of this business. Let me take care of that part. At the end of the day, though, I've learned I need to be focused on just offering value, of offering service, of consulting with people, because quite frankly, if I spend my whole day just doing consultation meetings, I have a great day. I just do. I love sitting there, working with people, talking through their situation, helping gain clarity, getting it all out on the table, and coming up with some kind of plan and giving some information that helps them feel a little less stressed at the end of the day. For me, that's what fills my cup. That's what helps me sleep good at night. That's what helps me feel like I've been successful. Whether I'm making money in that deal or not doesn't really play into that factor at all. I've just learned that's where I'm going to be best. So, last part of this, real estate agents and investors. I want to hit a few bullet points here. Both have important qualities to offer to the industry, and I think that's super important to understand. I want to be really clear. We should be building relationships amongst each other in this industry. For some reason, that's not always the case, though. Some people have a negative view for whatever reason, and that's probably fairly easy because in both sides, in the real estate agent camp and in the real estate investor camp, just like anywhere else, you're gonna find different levels of quality service offered, right? And so you're always gonna have that thing, right? It's the same reason we like one store versus another store, right? We like the way they handle things. We like the customer service over here, etc. We went to this other place and had a bad experience one time. And so that all plays into this. And it's the same exact thing in the real estate industry. Just like any industry, you can find higher quality and lower quality products. 2 different lumber stores may sell the same brand name, but the name is only on the surface. And if you're actually looking to buy lumber, by the way, your local lumber yard is pretty much always going to be the better option because they just have better quality lumber, and that's where they buy at, right? So, but both the real estate agent and a professional investor can help you sell your house. That's the brand name, right? That's the name that's on the front of the box. But both have different products to offer, and they serve different clients, right? Different needs are being dealt with in those things. So just be aware of that. Now, that's where I'll end the comparison of the two between agent and investor. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying they're different. I'm saying that you need to consider what your needs are, and I think it's best for you to understand the products that are being offered, and then you can make decisions based on what you know. So, last thing, closing up. Why would you choose Kitsap Home Pro? Why would you call me in the first place? Why would you pick up the phone or get on my website and reach out? Well, listen, when you're selling your house, we're really not the only option. There's a lot of other options out there. That's kind of the point of this video. But we are a hybrid option, and I think that's pretty valuable. We bring you the creativity of a real estate investor coupled with the traditional market options of a state-licensed real estate broker. See, we have both in the same office. And so we call that our HYRES option. That's hybrid real estate solution, HYRES. So we bring you the resources you need to one place. That's what we do at Kitsap Home Pro. Like I said, I think that's valuable. That's why I built this business that way. If you have any questions, reach out. I'd be happy to talk. We can set up a consultation or whatever you need.